said in the past that he's looking to tackle the illegal smuggling of drugs out of Venezuela. But how key is the issue of Venezuela's oil in all this, do you think?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. The situation is really fluid at the moment, so we might comment the strategic scenario of what happened before this morning in Europe and this night in Caracas. Energy and oil have been very precious instruments of pressure, of maximizing pressure from the U.S. on Venezuela. And what we are seeing right now is a major escalation, a military escalation, where it doesn't seem that oil infrastructures and energy infrastructures of Venezuela have been directly struck by these night's attack that have not been officially claimed by the U.S., but there are very few doubts about the origin of these attacks. Again, energy is key for the stability of the regime, and oil exports are key for the state's revenues. The oil blockade that the Trump administration proclaimed earlier in December has been a major political escalation by the White House on pressuring and an attempt to oust President Maduro and a change of regime in Venezuela. And certainly energy will be an instrument of diplomacy in a world where Washington and Caracas will be able to talk again. But right now, I think the situation is not going that way, and diplomacy will not be the key instrument in the next hours and days, because what we are seeing in the Venezuelan capital is a major escalation, and it's really difficult right now to see things moving back and slowing down rather than accelerating and seeing more attacks and obviously a statement, an official statement by the White House coming in a few hours.
As you say, Professor, the Trump administration has said that it's imposed this oil blockade because it wants to choke off the key source of revenue for Nicolas Maduro's government. But there's also a question as to whether or not the US wants access itself to the world's largest proven oil reserves in Venezuela. Is that a factor in this pressure campaign, do you think? Do you think the Trump administration is looking to access Venezuelan oil for itself?
Well, actually, U.S. companies already have access to Venezuelan oil. Chevron is a major oil producer in the country. Right now, it almost produces a fifth of Venezuelan oil. And Chevron has been able to import this heavy crude in the U.S. For refining it and selling to the American consumers. So right now, American companies, and Chevron in particular, is a player in Venezuela. We might see more U.S. companies interested in accessing Venezuela, but absolutely not right now, as things are escalating and moving faster towards a military development instead of a diplomatic one. There is an abundance right now, a glut, I would say, of oil production in the world. It's not really an incentive to get after Venezuelan oil through a war. It's quite surprising that the U.S. has escalated so fastly and in a so bold move, attacking Caracas last night. And this is not understandable just as the U.S. wants to access a direct access to Venezuelan oil. We need to see this and frame this attack in a larger picture. And certainly the national security strategy announced by the U.S. Just a few weeks ago is a major blueprint to renew the presence of the US in the Western Hemisphere, and the Venezuelan crisis is a test to implement that strategy.
Who are the major buyers of Venezuelan oil? And as the US looks to continue this blockade of Venezuelan oil exports, how might that impact those customers?
Well, as I said before, there's a glut right now in the global oil market. So I wouldn't say that Venezuelan oil importers, and the major one is obviously China, will be directly affected, and we will see a spike in oil prices. But certainly, this military escalation will upset the global energy markets that have been upset repeatedly over these last few years with the war in Ukraine and the Russian invasion, and then what we have been seeing in the Middle East with the wars between Israel and other countries in the region. I think that other than China, we will have implications for European oil importers. We have Venezuelan oil importers in Europe, countries like Spain, Italy, and companies from these countries have been present in Venezuela for years. But certainly the major buyer of Venezuelan oil is China, and we will also have a reaction by Beijing in the coming hours, as Venezuela has been one of the largest energy partners of China in Latin America, and a direct attack of the U.S. on Caracas is also a message coming from the White House to Beijing.
Okay, Francesco, Sassi, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on TRT World.